latest episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with Bernie Sanders perfectly illustrates what Joe Rogan's been talking about when he's been saying you can't bullshit for 3 hours. You know, the truth is gonna come out. You're gonna show what you really are. And it's not as if Rogan was like pressing him that hard. You know, he would ask questions about things he was saying, but the questions that Rogan asked, it was just very clear that Bernie didn't have a solid answer for them. For example, they were talking about climate change, and Rogan brought up an article talking about how we're in a season of cooling, which means we're not warming. And Bernie was like, oh, well, I haven't read that article. And it's just kind of like, well, you have a lot of really strong opinions to not be reading all of the new articles. Or he was talking about how there's corruption in campaign financing and how Elon Musk poured a lot of money into the Trump administration. And Rogan was like, well, what about Kamala Harris? Like, how much money did they spend on her? And Bernie was like, oh, well, of course, it's corrupt on both sides, which obviously it is. But Bernie was not going to otherwise make that point. He was just going to paint it as if it's bad that Elon Musk did it and not touch on the fact that Kamala Harris did the exact same thing. Where they were also talking about how Trump has a couple lawsuits with the media, for example, the 60 Minutes one, because they deceptively edited the Kamala Harris interview. And Bernie just, when Joe was pressing him about that, he was like, well, I don't know those details. I don't know those details. And why would you bring it up then? If you don't know the details, why are you talking about it? The one that really put the nail in the coffin for me, because it's kind of like his whole platform is talking about like socialism and universal healthcare. More specifically, Joe's whole thing with that is if people don't have to work, then where are they going to find their purpose? And Joe really hearkened on this. He really kept coming back to it. Like, what is your solution to people floundering? And Bernie eventually was just like, I don't know. And it really just gets to the heart is like, they just throw money at it and think that's going to fix it. And it does not. And it's just amazing how spot on Rogan was when he says that you can't bullshit for 3 hours. You just can't. This was absolutely a prime example of that. I highly recommend watching it.